I am a fool. That is one thing for certain.
Happy Friday. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe. So, life is funny, right? You go through life and you meet so many people, and you're always practicing non-judgment and non-attachment at the same time. So, when you come into deeper realizations about yourself and how you interact with other people and um, how you're how you sacrifice yourself for other people kind of makes you want to be surrounded by people that are just like you, right? If you're if you surround yourself with people that are pulling your energy, um, you really kind of have to come to a state of non-attachment because you have to have an equal give and take. You're always looking for an equal give and take. And so, for me personally, when I'm looking for my soulmate, I'm looking for somebody that is an equal give and take that still has the same desire and uh knowledge for truth and you know is willing to jump out into the great abyss with me, and just see where it takes us, right? So I mean, for example, you know and I've used this example before. Let's say I've got $1 billion in my pocket, and how will I know if I'm going to meet my soulmate, right? I mean, I could meet somebody and I could really click with them, but um how do I know that they're not just interested in me for money? And maybe this is just a belief system that I have, right? That I need to get over. Because I mean, when you meet somebody, you should intuitively know whether or not they're right for you. Just because someone's successful doesn't mean that they're bad, right? I mean, that's obvious. But at the same time, you want to meet somebody at the right time, that is going through the what you're going through at the time you're going through it. So, uh, yeah. And if you think about some of the last videos, if you look at this channel and you look at some of the last videos I've made, it's like, well, if you feel like you need to constantly feed off of your environment, you're never going to really reach higher states of consciousness. You're never going to, make that really solid connection with the divine and the downloads that you're going to get. So I'll tell you what happened to me on Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. So I don't have very many floaties that don't have holes in them anymore. And I live right next to the Yakima River. So yesterday or Wednesday, I went up to the store and bought a floaty, one of those little river floaties, and jumped in the river and just to float for about an hour, hour and a half. And as I was floating down the river, so many things are talking to me. The river is one of the most amazing things. It represents the lifeblood of the planet. And every time you jump in a river, it's moving towards the heart of a system somewhere. You're always moving towards the heart if you're floating in the river, as long as you're floating the river. But on the banks, I saw a lot of trees that were growing, some old trees growing on the banks. And, when every year when the river comes up, they keep washing away soil out from underneath the tree roots on the banks. And um, at one time there was a seed that landed itself in that spot and decided to grow there, but it also anchored itself there. And so in a way the trees are very beautiful, but they're also kind of sad because they're exposed, right? I mean, their roots are showing, and eventually they'll die because eventually the river will um, take the roots away, and eventually it can only hold on for so long because it's decided to feed in that spot. When you're floating in the river, you're always just feeding off the sunlight that's just shining down on you. You're never anchored. You're always just moving towards the heart of the system. So when whenever you anchor yourself in a position and decide, well, I think this is where I'm going to stop. This is what I am, and this is what I have to offer, and this is what I have to sell to you. Now, if I do that, then I've kind of anchored myself, right? And I'm never moving into higher states of awareness, if that makes sense. So let you guys ponder about that for a while. You know, where are we trying to go as a people or as a species? We're all trying to ascend into higher states of consciousness and ascend this three-dimensional reality. So make sacrifices for the people around you and show your love. Don't force yourself into selling a product, or like that's the end all fix for anything. I created that structure for businesses where you have equal incentive, equal accountability. But even in any kind of structure, you're still kind of locked into a position. Now you can move around in that structure and do whatever you want, but you're still working as a group doing it for money. And so you're still feeding off your environment. And you're anchored in a way. So I encourage you to ponder about that for a while. The only people that I see right now are YouTubers, right? The psychics, especially the psychics, because they're right in the wave of energy, and all they do is take donations. They never try to sell a product because they never know what's going to come through. The energy is always changing. And so, in order to make sure that you're getting the right messages, you kind of have to keep from getting anchored, if that makes sense, because you anchor yourself in one spot and you're going to get the same type of energy, the same kind of transmission. So, and if you got a lot of money in your pocket, it doesn't really require you to have much faith, does it? Not really. Because you have to have faith that your needs are going to be met. And if you're not constantly required to use your faith, then it kind of grows tired. So, yeah, just thoughts going through my head today. I want you guys to have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye. I can stop the recording. I think I can do it.